I'm joined now by Senior Lecturer at the Curtin University Law School and Sky News contributor Rocco Loiacono. Rocco, thank you very much for joining me. Look, Joe Biden has been weak and weak on Israel over the past few months. We then saw this direct attack from Iran, which is unprecedented. Usually they use proxies. What does this tell you about America's leadership in the Middle East and globally?
Well, good evening, Sherry. Yes, look, the Biden administration has been talking tough. We had a speech with Antony Blinken in June last year saying that through diplomacy and deterrence, we can hold Iran at bay because we know that they actively support terrorists. But the fact of the matter is that even after October 7, the US did not enforce oil sanctions against Iran, which means it was able to export 1.4 billion barrels of oil a day. And of course, all that money goes to finance terrorists. Weakness invites aggression. It's a bit like the schoolyard. If you want to stop bullies, you've got to stand up to them. And over the last 18 months or so, America has not been standing up to Iran, and we've seen the consequences of that since October.
Well, Joe Biden is so inarticulate that whenever he's been asked in interviews what does he have to say to Tehran, which has been weighing up whether or not to attack Israel since October 7, directly attack it, all he can say is don't. That's it. Don't. One word. I mean, is this the reality of what we're looking at here? That the Ayatollahs don't think that US is ultimately going to come to Israel's defence?
Well, look, I mean, just a one-word reply, don't. And it's not just Joe Biden. I think the West collectively has a sense of moral fatigue and a moral abandonment. And we're seeing it in our leadership here in Australia with our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister. And I think this is born of an ignorance of history. I mean, don't they realise that in the whole history of the Middle East conflict, one side has been prepared to compromise, while the other side, it's always been all or nothing. There's one side that wants to wipe Israel off the map. And once they wipe Israel off the map, they're coming for the rest of us. And that is a stated aim. I mean, Bob Hawke said that when the bell tolls for Israel, it will toll for all mankind.
As Bob Hawke said when he was Prime Minister, unlike Albanese. Now, Israel is reportedly considering retaliation. It's said to be imminent. It could be the next couple of days. That's what we're all expecting. The US and the international community have said to Israel, don't retaliate. I had Shadow Defence Minister Andrew Hastie here on the show last night. He said you can't respond to Iran with weakness. He says Israel does need to take strong action. What's your view?
Well, at the end of the day, Sherry, Israel has a right to defend itself against these attacks. And I think we're failing here in the West because we've had the luxury of peace for about 80 years. Since the Second World War, we haven't had a conflict where we have had to fight for our very existence. Israel is fighting for its very existence, and it must take whatever means possible to do so.
Yeah. Do you think that the Australian government here, the Albanese government, has been strong enough in support of Israel, or do you think that there was that initial support right after the terror attacks and it's just been kind of weakness ever since?
Well, again, initially, yes, there might have been some strong words, but with Penny Wong's statement last week, they seem to be trying to appease these clueless activists on the extreme left of the Labor Party who have always been anti-Israel and therefore anti-West. Israel at the moment seems to be the whipping boy for the general attacks on Western civilization.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.